I was always looking at ways to improve the way you did things. I would never accept the norm. Me and my brother Scott were brought up on a farm in Tuatapere, which is in the deep south of New Zealand, so close to Antarctica. We used to see icebergs on the beach. One thing that I think we learned at an early age was to be independent, and also to be good problem solvers. You'll get some odd things happen on the farm and you had to think and act straight away. I started Findlay & Co. June 2001, and we gradually grew and grew and grew until I think it was about 3 years later. We had a reasonable sort of team, quite a big base of clients. I got a hold of Scott, my brother, and we got him on board with the firm, and we won a few awards and had a few accounting firms get in touch with us to find out how we were doing things, and that definitely helped us grow our firm and took the firm to where we were when we sold back in October 18. We were early into cloud adoption. It was actually quite hard to hire accountants in Wanaka, but because we were in the cloud, we could think outside of just our region. So we had our own dedicated staff offshore, and that sort of grew, and it definitely helped our practice earlier on. We set the backroom up to create efficiencies through connecting global talent, to make it easy for accounting firms so they can get good quality staff. And so that's where I suppose us being accountants can help. We know the terminology, we know the training needs, we know the types of personnel that they need. And so when we go out and recruit those people with our HR team, we can get the right mix of people. The main thing is we want to create capacity within the accounting firm, and that's to make it easy for you as the accountant to spend more time with clients rather than just doing compliance. One of the big reasons for going to the Philippines is the culture. It's very family orientated. Work-life balance is important. Being trustworthy is important to them, and those are all the values that Scott and I had when we were accounting, and so we could see the crossover, and that was important to us. Scott and I have talked a bit about where we want to take the backroom, and on my wall, it's a bit embarrassing, but I've got a picture of Buzz Lightyear, and it's what I think about is you know, to infinity and beyond. I think success is not all about having a lot of money or being able to drive a flash car or have a flash home. I think success is being able to spend time with your family, being able to find that balance.
CitronWorks is a new global marketplace for freelancers and remote workers. We have a large database of freelancers, remote workers, and employers offering remote job opportunities. We are commission-free and provide concierge services to help employers find great talent. Here's what our members have to say about CitronWorks.
I'm actually grateful for the platform because it gave me the opportunity to live the kind of life that I want, and it gave me the freedom to choose wherever I want to work. I remember working in the highlands of Negros Occidental. As long as I have the internet, I am able to work. So I watch the sunset while working, and I think that's one of the priceless moments I have in my life.
I think the best and the most impactful for our company is when we originally hired, it wasn't until 3 months later where we were all virtual working at home. Well, by that point, we already had virtual assistants. We had already evaluated and opted out having staff in our office. And so when we were work at home, we were ready and prepared. And not only were we ready and prepared, but we were able to hire 2 more virtual assistants due to CitronWorks. We had already experienced it. We already had all the processes. And now we work at full capacity and are so excited to share the message of CitronWorks.
Join us at CitronWorks.com today.
Good day. Welcome to the webinar on accessing professional workforce support, hiring virtual assistants to handle administrative work. This event is being organized by the various Philippine Trade and Investment Centers, consulates, and the Embassy of the Philippines in the United States. My name is Eric Elnar. I am the Trade Commissioner at the Philippine Trade and Investment Center in Los Angeles, and I am your moderator today. This webinar is the second installment of the Global Business Process powered by the Philippines webinar series. From August 13 to October 1, top IT BPO executives will discuss about different types of outsourced services such as virtual assistants, e-learning, creative content and engineering design, call centers, healthcare IT, clinical research, software and apps development, as well as accounting and other financial functions. Today, we will introduce the topic of outsourcing backroom operations and hiring virtual assistants. We will be joined by 2 presenters, Wayne Findlay, who is the founding director of both the Backroom and Findlay & Company Chartered Accountants, and Leo Gestetner, the co-founder and CEO of CitronWorks and co-founder and CEO of Findlay. Our speakers will be discussing about these topics, which we hope will help our audience understand better what is outsourcing and offshoring, and how it can benefit your business amidst the disruption in the business environment due to COVID-19. After the presentation, we will have a short Q&A, so please feel free to post your questions in the chat box. For those joining us today via Facebook Live, you would need to register via Zoom if you want to pose a question. You can find the link to our Zoom session on the screen. It's bit.ly/2p capital I AOPN. Sorry, that's 0 p.m. Let's now go to our presenters. Our first speaker is Mr. Wayne Findlay. As mentioned earlier, Wayne is the founding director of both the Backroom and Findlay & Company's Chartered Accountants. With a big vision and a passion for information technology, Wayne likes to explore new software and new technology and how it drives adoption of innovation in the business. Let's all welcome Mr. Wayne Findlay.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Might be best if I share my screen. I'll see if this works. You always hate these moments if it doesn't. Is that sharing okay, Eric? Just give me the thumbs up. Yep. Brilliant. So I'll get my slides up here. Brilliant. So I'll give you a bit of a history about us, so then you know what I'm talking about. But bit about us at the back room. It was started by me and my brother Scott. We're both accountants, so don't hold that against us. We were big into IT when we had our accounting firm, and that led to us setting up in the Philippines, having an offshore team. And from that, that's sort of how the back room got started. And it's grown now where we've got close to 150 staff in our Philippine office, doing a variety of roles. We started out focusing on accounting, but now with the needs of our clients and the work that's come in, we also have people now doing legal, executive, virtual assistants. We've got sales and marketing staff, and also IT professionals. The thing with us, and I think it's coming from our accounting background, is that we're very process driven. We're very big onto our training, getting the right sort of software in play and the systems. Things like we use Zoom a lot, and Loom for a training, which is a great tool to record yourself and record your screen. So we have all those sort of tools in play that we learned from our accounting days that we've rolled into the back room. One of the other big things with us is recruitment. We've got a lot of our resource team, our recruitment team. We've got a team of 4, and all they do is recruit and look after our internal staff and external staff. I thought I'd just talk a bit about the difference. Our model is what we call an offshoring model. And we probably need to understand the difference between offshoring and outsourcing. So outsourcing, if you typically think of that, could be on a project by project type basis where you need something done. So you go to, there's different websites now where you can go out Upwork and you can just get a job done. And that's sort of what we would call an outsourcing type model, which means you can get different people, at various times of the day to do different types of work for you, normally on a project by project type basis. The good thing with that is you get 24/7 availability. And also if you have a backlog of work that you just need to get punched out, you could go to an outsourcing type person and just get all that done in a big block. And also you can get variety of skills. We started off accounting when we were doing that in using that model, which was good for getting a backlog of work done. But what we wanted to do was build our own team dedicated for us. And that's what we call the offshoring model, where we have dedicated staff that work for you directly. It's normally on an FTE basis, a full-time equivalent basis. It's a bit hard nowadays to cut someone in half and sort of put half somewhere and half somewhere else. So it's normally on a full-time person basis. But the good things with the offshoring model is you can invest in training and development, and you can also build up a bit more rapport with the staff member. But effectively, they're like an employee. And that's good for setting up offshore teams. And normally it's a bit cheaper than outsourcing, but you don't get your benefits from day one because you have to invest in that person like you would an employee. So it does take time to set up, but over time it works out at quite cost effective. And that's what the back room does. We have what's called the offshoring model, where we have dedicated staff, VAs that work directly for companies. One of the big things when I'm looking at a VA is why do you need a VA? And I talk about freedoms, and there's three types of freedoms: financial freedom, time freedom, and mind freedom. And if I just work through each of those, so financial freedom, is the ability to have, good cash flows. So you get a return on your investments, and you're getting rewarded for the effort you put in. But quite often that financial freedom comes at a cost, where you're working huge hours, and you're not getting that time off that you need. And that's where the time freedom comes in. So time freedom is the ability, to have time to get off, to spend with family, with friends, to do what, or maybe it's just to sit and watch a movie, but it's getting that balance in life. And what we find is mind freedom comes with having financial and time. So mind means less stress. You're not stressed about things. And right now with COVID, it is quite a stressful time. So to get that balance in life is important. And that's why we think a virtual assistant could be quite good for people. So when we look at why you need a virtual assistant, you need to, maybe look in the mirror and stop doing things that you can get others easily to do for you. Start working, what we call working on your business rather than in. And focus on doing some, higher value work or better paying work, or even more work that you enjoy doing, and delegate more. And that's where a virtual assistant comes in. Some things, that signs for a virtual assistant, and some of these may hit sweet spots with you. I know it did for me. Is where you need different skills, maybe where you lack, you can get those skills from somewhere else, and a virtual assistant can help there. What we say is, always hire someone smarter than you, and that certainly works with me. A lot of admin tasks where you spend time working on stuff you shouldn't be doing. And maybe I'll put that into perspective. As in our accounting firm, Scott and I, we actually wore different hats. We would have a black hat or a red hat. And Margaret, our business ops manager, she would come and say to me, Wayne, you're putting on your red hat here. You're doing stuff you shouldn't be doing. This is what I should be doing. And we had quite an open sort of work environment where Marg could come up to me and tell me that, and that made me realise I was doing stuff that I shouldn't do. So I put on my black hat, and I was doing stuff that I should have been doing. So just think about what you're doing in your day and what you could delegate. Things like, you're getting productivity is weighed down by inefficiency. You might be chasing up tax receipts where you could get others to do that for you. You're spending too much time sorting travel, although some people like sorting travel, but it's a bit hard now with COVID to get out of the country, especially when you're stuck like I am away down in New Zealand. Deadlines are being stretched, so you need some help. You're constantly working in the business with no time to work on the business. So look at getting a VA to help do some of those jobs. That's where you got your black hat and your red hat. Your inbox is out of control. Who's got 100 emails coming in a day that just haven't been checked or dealt with? So that's where a virtual assistant can come in and help, just take control of that. Or who's had the toing and froing, organising meetings, or you need to arrange time but get everybody all together at once. Delegating that is a great task. It's just logistically a nightmare sometimes. And sometimes you're just doing work that you shouldn't be doing, and you shouldn't be doing it, but you want to be productive. So look at doing getting a virtual assistant. So what do virtual assistants do, and what do they do? I break it down into three areas: administration, sales and marketing, and finance. With a virtual assistant and the ones that we employ for our clients, they normally have two strings to their bow. So they can be a VA maybe with do the admin work, so organise your meetings and appointments, and either have a sales and marketing spin to them or else a finance. So when there is downtime, and there will be downtime when you can't communicate with your VA, you can get them to do some sales and marketing tasks, and that could be lead generation or social media. Or if you had a virtual assistant that had sort of a finance background as well, you could get them to do some basic bookkeeping, chasing up those tax receipts, doing some bank reconciliations. So I think it's important when you look at a VA, they can be multidisciplined, and then you can get them to do a variety of skills. So why did we choose the Philippines? It wasn't by chance. When Scott and I had our accounting firm and we first set out, with our offshoring journey, we researched heavily where to go, and the choices, were India, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, and then we chose the Philippines. And man, are we lucky we chose the Philippines. It's just a great atmosphere, great place to go and visit. Really high proficiency in English. So when we recruit people for our VA roles, English is important, both written and verbal. And that's why we have an English test as part of our recruitment. But English is spoken from a very early age in the Philippines, which is great. Cost is a factor. And when you talk about the cost and the wages, and I'll talk about that shortly, the wages that we pay to our staff in the Philippines is probably double what they get from working for a Filipino type employer. And so it's important for us to put something back into the country, and we're seeing the cost of living going up in the Philippines as a result. And I think it has a lot to do with the BPO industry, where wages are going up. So when you see the wages, you have to take it into perspective. And the culture of the Philippines, and it meets what our culture is at the back room, where we're very family orientated. It means a lot to us that there's that work-life balance. But the culture is in the Philippines that they make great employees because they want to work hard, and they very respectful. I always get called sir, and I'm sort of looking around, wondering why I'm being called sir, but they're very polite. And yeah, they're just lovely people to work with. So I'll just bring over to the costs. So, we did it wasn't a survey we did, but we got a hold of the survey where they compared the costs of hiring a virtual assistant across various countries. And the Philippines, is quite low compared to everywhere else. And again, like I said before, you have to put that in perspective to the cost of living, and the wages that we pay are actually double what you would get if you're working for a Filipino, especially in accounting firms. We noticed it, and you could be working huge hours. So there is benefits in offshoring from a financial perspective. Now, why use us? I've mentioned our focus on training and development. We have a dedicated team, and that's all they do when we onboard team members. We put them through initial training. We use tools like Loom and videos to record the different processes that are needed. Systems and procedures. So that's again from our accounting background. We believe in having written recipes for different types of roles, so that way you can, if someone needed to step in, you've got that process down. It makes it a lot easier. Our HR system is pretty robust. When we hire someone, it's just not an hour. It takes possibly a day to a day and a half where we go through different screenings, We have video interviewing software we take through. We look back through and skill test people for the roles that we require them for. So it is quite robust. And the good thing as well is their clients get involved in their recruitment from day one. They get access to our HR portal where they can see the applicants coming through, and they can see the initial screening videos on our video interviewing software. They are very tech savvy. That's come, I suppose, from me. I've always been up to date with IT, and so we have quite a tech focus. So, and that flows through to the staff and their training. Security is very important because we are dealing with client information. So we take that seriously. We have, it's, you know, when we're in our building, which at the moment we have to work from home because of COVID, but it's like Fort Knox to get in. There's, you know, fingerprint scanning to get in, CCTV, no cell phones are allowed in our building. We have on our PCs, there's monitoring software. So if there was anything go astray, we can go back and see exactly what happened on each PC. And that's quite important now when people are working from home. We can work backwards. But the most important thing is that we have a fun and friendly work environment. In our industry, in the BPO, you can have quite low retention rates of staff. I've seen staff turn over like once a year, which can be a big problem. But for us, we have in the high 90s as far as retention rate of staff. And when you have 150 staff, that's really important. So, yeah, and that's by creating a great atmosphere. Here's a few pictures of our building. So we're in Clark, which is about 100, I've got to go to miles here. So it's probably close to 100 miles inland from Manila. It's its own, has its own airport. That's our building on the left. So it's quite a modern building. Our office is modern, dual screens. And our work environment, I think, is quite well laid out. We're taking team out there for tea. We always have that different social functions going on all the time. So there's a security. So when you enter the building, yeah, you have to go through. You have to have a key card, fingerprint scan, and also to Clark, there's, you know, it's a Freeport zone, so there's different rules and regulations about dealing with that as well. Just to put it in, give you an example of one of our clients, which is a larger accounting firm in the US. I think they're actually in the top 50 accounting firm. And so this is what they get their VAs to do, which is, as you can see, is quite diverse. They're doing a lot of sales and CRM management, booking meetings and appointments, design, and doing social media, preparing agreements. We would call that like engagement letters, preparing contracts basically for business, organising meetings and brainstorming sessions. They're doing sales reports that they forward through to the directors, as well as creating training material and constantly being in contact with the directors that they deal with. And that's on could be 4 or 5 times a day that they're dealing with them. So that's a bit about me. I'm not sure how I'm going for time. Hopefully we're going okay, but there's my contact details. If you want to get a hold of me, probably by email, and then I can arrange a Zoom meeting with someone. We can have a one-on-one. All right. Over to you, Eric, is it?
Yes, thank you, Wayne. And thank you for sharing how your company can help and thus provide your clients with more financial time and mind freedom. Our next speaker is Leo Gestetner. Leo is a serial entrepreneur with a 30-year track record of successful online and offline businesses. He is co-founder and CEO of CitronWorks, a global marketplace for remote work professionals, and co-founder and CEO of Zenvoy, which is an AI-driven private networking community. We first got to know Leo when he was planning to ramp up his operations in the Philippines and targeting around 50,000 freelancers on their website. Anyway, let us welcome Mr. Leo Gestetner.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction. You actually have in the background here the beautiful Philippine Islands, it's Palawan. And I'll talk through a little bit about CitronWorks and understanding VA arrangements. So there's obviously two different ways of working. I'm going to talk to you through more of the CitronWorks way. When you're hiring through a freelancer marketplace such as CitronWorks, you're hiring an independent contractor. You also can hire through a managed agency like the Backroom. We're providing, so independent contractors working directly for you. A VA traditionally is a generalist. They might have some specific skills, but as a base, they're a generalist. Usually working from home, or again, it could be from a managed freelancing agency. Can be part-time, full-time, or project-based. Can be working your hours or Philippine day hours, which for those people on the webinar from the US, that's generally overnight. We generally find that having a mix of the two works really well. So we have people working US hours that allows things to get done immediately, but then we also love having a team in the Philippines working Philippine hours that allows things to get done overnight. So you need, at the end of the day, you say what you need done, you wake up in the morning and your tasks are done. Understanding the freelancer marketplace within the Philippines. There are currently around 1.5 million freelancers in the Philippines, about 2% of the population, with about 2/3 women, so about 65% women. A wide range of skills. We've had people working for us all over the world. One of the things we love about the Philippines, there's a strong work ethic. There's a great understanding of the American culture and of the English language. And, you know, very easy for freelancers and employers to connect. How to select a virtual assistant. So like with anyone you're hiring, you're going to want to develop a job description, look for the appropriate experience, interview candidates. One of the things we find really helpful when you're hiring people remotely is to do a small test job if you are looking for people with specific skills. So if you're looking for a bookkeeper, you're looking for a social media manager, you're looking for an Amazon seller, give them a small test job, and that allows you to really evaluate a shortlist against each other. And then like with any position, you're probably going to want to check references. So costs of hiring a VA. A virtual assistant, and this can cost anything from $2 to $10 per hour. Depends on the experience you need, depends on whether you're hiring someone direct or through a managed freelancing agency. An average monthly cost for a generalist is going to be around $500. And then if you're looking for specific skills, you're going to pay more. But a fraction of what you would be paying if you were hiring locally in the US, and you know, we find actually usually work a lot harder. So talking about CitronWorks, we are a global freelancer marketplace. We've tried to be a little different. We are our freelancer verified with rated skills. You can really understand the different skill sets of the people in our marketplace. We have a proprietary trust score for both the employers and the freelancers. So we think it's important that, yes, the employers need to understand the trustability of and the verification of freelancers, but the freelancers also need to really understand the employers. So it's important we understand to have we believe to have that trust score for both sides. We don't charge any commissions. We don't charge the employers or freelancers commissions. We charge a simple subscription model. So you're paying a monthly subscription, you can cancel anytime, and you're hiring people directly. Just a little bit about me, just giving you some background. As Eric mentioned, I've been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years with a whole mixture of businesses. I'm a co-founder of CitronWorks. I also am co-founder of Zenvoy, which for the last 9+ years has had teams all over the world, but 30+ people are now in the Philippines. We find that we've really focused over time with our Philippine team, and CitronWorks in many ways has leveraged the experience we've had from building teams in the Philippines and abroad. So from day one, we built a business, looking at our business, that was very much a remote. We never wanted any offices. So everyone that works for us works from home. As I said, the vast majority, 30 of the 35 people, work in the Philippines. But we also have people in France, in Eastern Europe, in India, and in Los Angeles. But everyone working from home. And that also meant that as we came to COVID, it was business as usual for us. There was no change. We were resilient and ready for remote working. Because we've got people working a mixture of hours, it allows us to have a company that's active 20+ hours a day. So we've got people, as I mentioned, working both US hours, Philippine hours, and it makes for a very efficient working environment. I've tried to include some best practices and what we found around going remote as well. So we believe in cloud environments. You need a good project management system. We happen to like Basecamp. There's many different project management systems out there, but it's an easy way to manage your teams. We believe in time tracking. The advantage of time tracking is also you can really understand where people are getting stuck. Because if you're not in the same office, you don't always know when people start heading down a rabbit hole. They're not always good at telling you. By using a mixture of a project management system and a time tracking system, you can quite quickly see if tasks are taking too long. And we use Zoom. We've used Zoom for many years for meetings. We believe in having, in all of our teams, we have twice weekly calls. So our whole team, that's our developers, our VAs, our sales team, everyone is on a twice weekly call. And that gives everyone really a chance to get to know each other. And then the sort of open door policy of a traditional office. So there's ad hoc Zoom calls. We allow anyone in our teams to book a call with management using Candidly. So it gives them a chance to go through anything they need to. Looking at our current teams, these are people who sort of are managing our business. We have web designers, web developers, sysadmins, social media, a QA team. We have a customer support, lead generation, and then general VA. So although a number of those categories can fall into the VA, I've listed them separately because they've got specific skill sets. We also then have a general VA team which help with appointment setting, data entry, etc. So CitronWorks really was born out of the experience we've had since 2012 in building remote teams. We've been doing it a long time, and we decided that we want to really bring that experience to help other companies both find the right resource and to give them the knowledge and share the knowledge in how you both find that knowledge and manage those teams. So that really was the birth of CitronWorks. A couple of case studies, just giving you some ideas of the kind of roles that you can hire out of the Philippines and some of the things that we've helped with. So Los Angeles Consulting Group, typical small employer in the US, all of their teams had been local. They were looking to hire a virtual assistant, and they talked to us for their first non-local person, and we helped them find someone in the Philippines. They've now hired three VAs out of the Philippines, and they found it a fantastic way of working. allows them to easily expand their team at a very cost-effective method, and gives them that resilience as they went into COVID, and gives them that much longer coverage in our sense, so they can get a lot of stuff done overnight than they would have had just with their local team. But then we get into sort of bespoke type roles. We've helped with Amazon vendor specialists, with sales and marketing specialists in the financial sector, really helping people find the right teams that they need for their specific business. And, you know, as Wayne really talked about, a VA can help you really deal with a lot of those repetitive tasks that is much better for someone else to be doing, so you can focus on the strategic and the more important tasks. It can be both administrative, personal tasks, project managing, and you know, those specific skills. So you can get VAs who are focused on bookkeeping, social media, customer support, whatever skill it is that you need. And the advantage of specifically a remote VA is much more flexibility, very cost effective, much less risk in really scaling up the business. Get rid of the office drama, although in the world of COVID, there's no one in an office right now. And as I've said a number of times, really make use of that time difference. Looking at some of the different roles that some of our core categories that we've really helped people hire, although we really can help with almost any role. Virtual assistants, obviously, customer support, sales support, social media, lead generation, data entry, web developers and designers, graphic designers, online commerce specialists, and even photo and video editors. And, you know, again, sort of circling back on some of, you know, how to organize a remote team. For those of you that don't have a remote team and are building one, really important you have a clear contract so everyone understands what it is you want and everyone's on the same page. You may be used to paying people semi-monthly or monthly. We find when you're starting off, it's really important to start off by paying people weekly. You can move after a couple of months to semi-monthly or monthly, but as you get to know each other and you build trust, it's really good to pay weekly. As we've said, good to use time tracking, project management tools, and to have those regular team meetings, those twice weekly calls, so the team can really stay on the same page when they're out of the office. So one of our core parts of our offering is our CitronWorks concierge service, where we provide a fully managed experience. So you provide us with a job description, and our concierge team searches, interviews candidates, and gives you a short list of top candidates. So we're using our experience to choose the best candidates that are right for your company. And then you get to interview a small number of candidates and really choose from there to have the right candidate. And for the Philippine DTI attendees on the series, we've actually offered a 50% discount. So just contact me if you're looking to hire anyone, and we can help with that. So thank you. That's CitronWorks, and I'm Leo Gestetner, and happy to answer any questions during the Q&A. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you for giving a complete picture of the market, the virtual assistant market and the freelancer market, as well as giving our participants here the option. So now let us go to the question and answer portion, Q&A. We encourage you to post your questions in the chat box so we can direct them to the speakers. Let's see. Here, there's a question saying, Leo, can you provide further details on the virtual assistant arrangement with Amazon? How many VAs were involved? Was this a project-based requirement or is it a going concern? Is there a dedicated team in your company that handles disputes between VAs and clients?
So that was for a company that helps other companies be Amazon sellers. So they're an Amazon seller support company, and we provided them with a team that have experience with Amazon Seller. They need a lot of experience with Google Sheets to really get into data analytics. They're not dealing directly with Amazon beyond managing products on Amazon. And their management team for that company are based in the US. So they didn't need us to handle disputes because actually they handle that internally. We certainly can get involved in that if needed, but that wasn't what that company needed. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. There's a request here that copies of a presentation, actually all copies of presentations will be sent to the registered participants in this Zoom call. So please wait for it in your inbox. Now, there's a question here from Ms. Barbara Logan. When you say social media, do you have them create content? And if so, how does that work in the person's non-native culture?
Oh, maybe I do it. Maybe Leo, you probably do that as well. But in the Philippines, we do have VAs that create social media content, like LinkedIn, Facebook. In the Philippines, you get quite a lot of people that have copywriting type skills that have been journalists. So they have very good, good English skills, and that crosses well to social media. So there's plenty of those sort of people around and very proficient at it. Very good. You just need to have the checks and balances in play before anything gets posted, and that's where software comes into it to make sure you can check anything before it just gets posted.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think you can get a great team in the Philippines to handle your social media. We've certainly helped a number of people hire social media assistants on that. For us, we do a complete mix. So we have a social media team that are creating content and posting. Plus, we also happen to have a blog writer in the US writing some of our longer blogs that then the social media team take that and they post that in social media and they do work around that as well. So we do a complete mix. But you certainly can find great people in the Philippines for that.
Thank you. There's another question here. Do virtual assistants usually work one-on-one, or can a virtual assistant provide service to several people in the same company, for example?
I mean, I can quickly jump in. I mean, I'd say that's up to you. So like any assistant, I think you're saying in the same company rather than different companies. So if you're hiring someone full-time, you can have them work for one person or multiple people. It's completely up to you. Personally, I think it's better to have them work for multiple people, but you might have a team of people who are helping multiple people. But if you can really make one person that busy, then you can have them for an individual. Anything you'd add to that, Wayne?
Yeah, same. It's how much work, the volume of work you can give someone. I know for me, I have my own VA, but I've got quite a lot of work that I get them to do in a variety of roles. But then the accounting firm that we deal with, they might have one VA for 2 or 3 directors and share that person. So it depends on the volume of work. And some use them better than others. Yeah.
I guess I would want to ask this question to both the speakers and get it straight from the horse's mouth, as they say. What's the difference between Wayne and Leo's companies? I guess somebody's in that point where they want to make a decision between getting a service from each company. So maybe you could throw something in?
Yeah. Well, I think, Leo, you're set up remotely, aren't you? Like you've got your team already working from home, whereby we're set up differently, where we would ideally operate out of our office. And I think, Leo, you're much more distributed across the world than what we are. You've got employees all over the world, where we're just solely focused Philippines at this stage.
Yeah, I think the two differences I'd say is for Wayne, yes, that they're based in a company, in a physical office, whereas ours work from home. I think the other difference is Wayne offers a a fully managed service.
Yeah.
For some people, they want a managed team. Other people, they want to hire direct. Both great ways of hiring people. So I think that's the other big difference as well. And I think Wayne certainly has some very definite specialities. I think you do lots of different roles, but I think especially around aero and accounting, I think you've got a lot of experience around that.
Yeah, that we certainly specialize in that area. Yeah.
I guess can be considered as a follow-up, but from a different participant. Do you charge a fee for a virtual assistant we intend to hire?
Yeah, well, the way our fee structure goes, sorry, Leo, I'll cut you out there, but our fee structure is what we call a BPO fee, or a business processing outsourcing fee. And then that's built in on top of the wages of that person. So we just have a monthly fee we charge our clients, and that's made up of our fee and the wages for that person. We pay the wages, because we have a Filipino company, so that's all dealt with. So really it's just one fee per month.
So from our side, we're not managing the people. So we have two ways you can hire. There's a subscription to our platform, which you can cancel anytime. It's on a month-by-month basis, in which case you pay a small monthly fee. Or you can use our concierge service, where we're helping you hire the person. And we charge then a small success-based fee to hire the person. So it's a one-off fee, but then you're managing the team.
Yep. Okay. Leo, the subscription fee, is it something that varies depending on the requirement? For example, VA, virtual assistance education, specialties, etc.?
So no, we our fee is $70 a month is sort of our core platform subscription that can be cancelled at any point. And our concierge service, if you want to use our concierge service, we charge $399, a one-off fee. Doesn't matter what level of person you're hiring. As I mentioned, we'll offer a 50% discount to anyone attending that. So it would end up costing just under $200 to use our concierge service.
Thank you. There's another question here. It says, how do companies that hire virtual assistants handle non-monetary benefits, like healthcare, pensions, that used to be part of the total compensation and benefits package of traditional employment? Or is this entirely now the lookout of the freelancer as an independent contractor?
Well,
I think he's asking about benefits.
Yeah, because we're the employer and we provide a service, we employ the VAs in the Philippines, and they get all the allowances and HMO, which is private health cover. So that's important. They get that from day one with us. And that's all part of our fee. That's packaged together.
I mean, as you're hiring direct, unless you have an office in the Philippines through us, then there aren't any benefits as such. Generally, companies quite often they'll do a bonus based on performance, like a 13-month bonus can often be standard, especially for more established companies. But there's no direct benefits that you'd offer if you're hiring a US company hiring as a contractor in the Philippines.
Right. Okay, there's another one. In your opinion, what is the single most important advantage of virtual assistants in the Philippines compared to their counterparts in other countries, say India?
I'd say, as someone who's had teams all over the world, and I've had offices in 9 countries. I've probably had teams in over 20 countries. I mean, the Philippines is, you can hire great people in lots of countries, but the Philippines, there is an understanding of American culture and of the English language, which is pretty unique in sort of in Asia, I find. And and very easy. The Philippine accent is very soft, so when they're speaking English, it's very clear. It works. It just works very well. There's for an English language employer, we find that if you're hiring out of Asia, the Philippines is one of the most compelling places to hire from.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just from our experience when we did previously hire people out of India when we were accounting, it worked, and definitely you get some good people there. But you know, I know that the Philippines, you know, I find that trust is a big thing. I find respect and just the diligence to work and productivity was a lot better in the Philippines than what it was when we had operations in India. And I know a lot of our clients have found that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Wayne. Now, is there a minimum number of virtual assistants you required by Backroom or CitronWorks to accept work?
For us, no. We have some clients that will just have one VA. There's no minimum requirements at all. No. And that works well. Our VAs, when we're back in the office, will be in an office, you know, next to other VAs, so they have that team environment there. But no, there's no minimum requirements.
And I guess that goes the same with you, Leo.
In terms of minimum, no, happy to help with any number needed. No minimums required.
Mm-hmm. Here's one from Agnes Ma. She's a realtor here in California, and she knows she needs help, but at the moment she can't pinpoint exactly what help. She's asking if you have a schedule of services that you have provided realtor. She's interested especially to help fellow Filipinos to earn a living back home.
Maybe I can answer that, because we've just hired a VA for a real estate agent or a firm here in New Zealand, and so we've just fulfilled that position. The person we had, he had a variety of roles. It was around lead generation. In New Zealand, we have what we call open homes. You probably have them worldwide, which people will go through open homes and he would follow up. So we've got a VoIP phone for him. So he's actually calling those people that had gone into open homes just to follow them up, and that's been quite successful. He's also doing diary management, email management for the realtors, which is really time consuming. Preparing appraisals for houses. When people go through, he will prepare an appraisal, run it past the realtor, and then they check it. And they have a property management division as well, and so he's helping the property management people, checking on rent rolls, helping with contracts. So a variety of roles, been quite popular. Leo, have you got someone similar?
I mean, I don't need to repeat the same. I mean, Wayne's done great.
Yeah.
Okay. We have around 5 more minutes before the top of the hour, but I think this question is relevant to be asked. Could you explain a bit more how privacy concerns are addressed, especially if virtual assistants are working from home and don't necessarily have secure internet connections?
So, I mean, I'll grab that one just because our people are working from home versus Wayne's got a secure office. You know, what we've done with that, when that matters, and what I mean by that is the majority of data most people are handling is not actually that private in terms of it doesn't, you know, it's not a massive issue. If you have data that is subject to a real extreme level of privacy, then what we've done in those cases is we've set up VAs with a VPN to secure desktop as a service in the US. So all data resides on, we quite often use AWS for that. So Amazon Web Services, all data resides within the US on a dedicated server, on a dedicated desktop as a service, and then the VA VPNs into that. So it's all encrypted.
Yeah, so similar with us. Right now, when people are working from home, you know, we had to ship our computers. That was quite a logistics exercise in itself. Get all the computers from our office into each employee's house. We made sure that they all have stable internet connections. In some instances, you know, we had to upgrade them. And then why we had our PCs is because we run our security software. So we're a wee bit different, I suppose, from Leo in that, you know, you've got a contractual type model where the contractor works directly to the client. Because we're the employee, we have to, we're liable for security. So we need to, yeah, we went through I think it's called a SOC 2 in the US, went through that process. And we've also had to, you know, invest heavily in quite, you know, software that runs screenshots on PCs and it monitors what websites everyone goes into as well. So we have all those sort of things in play.
Thank you, Wayne. I think this is a related question to the earlier one. Do you have AICPA, Chartered Certified VAs, or do you do, you know, tax for tax purposes?
We do have tax people, and they but they're more down the registered with the tax department in the US. But they are working in amongst our tax team, dealing with you know, our accountants. Most of our VAs wouldn't have what we would call a CPA accounting type background. They would normally come from either a bookkeeping, design, sales, and management. If we got someone as a CPA, they would tend to probably come through because we deal with a lot of accountants, we would put them into an accounting type position.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think we covered most of the questions, and thank you for the lively discussion. We apologize to the participants for those questions that we probably have not raised during the session. You may wish to continue discussions with the speakers directly. I think we posted their information on the chat box as well as now on the screen, contact information of our speakers. You can note down their contact details and get in touch with them directly with Wayne and Leo. And we thank you again for joining us today. We still have 7 more webinars coming up. Make sure to pre-register so you can get access to our Zoom discussion and breakout rooms. So with that, I want to say thank you to our speakers. Maraming salamat, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next webinar on August 27th.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Andrew, and the rest of the team.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You want to take a picture?
Yes. I will take the picture. Everyone who wants to turn on their videos.
Yeah.
Smile.
There you go.
Page.